Good morning, viewers. Today's topic for discussion is superior and inferior mesenteric artery and vein. Right? Now let's start with the superior mesenteric artery. First of all, what superior mesenteric artery? It is a branch from abdominal aorta. I have drawn here inferior vena cava. This is abdominal aorta and their branches. Right? So first, it's as superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric arteries. They are branches from the abdominal aorta. So I have to discuss a little bit about aorta here, right? Abdominal aorta. Thoracic aorta, we have already finished in thoracic part. So abdominal aorta, it begins in midline in the aortic opening of the diaphragm, right? We have three openings in the diaphragm. VOA, voice of America, vena cava opening, esophageal opening and aortic opening. These three at T8, T10 and T12 level. So vena cava at T8, esophageal at T10 and aortic at T12 vertebra, right? Now it runs downwards, aorta that runs downwards and to the left in front of the lumbar vertebrae, right? And in front of the lower part of the L4 vertebra where it divides into two right and left common iliac arteries, right? Now let's discuss the relations. Anteriorly we have celiac trunk and aortic plexus. Celiac trunk is also branched from this abdominal aorta anteriorly, right? So anteriorly lies the celiac trunk which supplies the stomach mainly. Then we have body of pancreas which lies anterior to the aorta, right? So posteriorly we have obviously vertebral bodies L4 up to L4 lumbar vertebra, upper 4 and the intervertebral disc. Then we have anterior longitudinal ligaments, right? So anteriorly what we have celiac trunk, right? Body of pancreas, third part of duodenum. Posteriorly we have first 4 lumbar vertebrae. Then we have anterior longitudinal ligament, right? And towards the right side, we have, this is the right side, towards the right side, we have inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava lies from midline, aorta is towards the left side, 1.2 centimeter from the midline, right? So towards the right side, lies the inferior vena cava, right crest of diaphragm and cisterna cali. Right, so these are the right relations, and towards the left we have, towards the right we have right crest of diaphragm, so towards the left we have left crest of diaphragm and pancreas and fourth part of duodenum, right? Now let's discuss the branches. So its branches we divided into 4 parts. First is the anterior or ventral branches, second is the lateral branches, right? Third one is the dorsal branches which lies posteriorly, and then we have terminal branches, right? Terminal are the 2 common iliac, right? Ventral we have 3. One is the celiac trunk, second is superior mesenteric artery I have drawn. This is inferior mesenteric. I have written here superior mesenteric artery. This one is superior mesenteric artery. This is celiac trunk. This is inferior mesenteric artery, right? So these are the anterior or ventral branches. Now the lateral branches. Lateral branches, first one is the inferior phrenic. I have drawn inferior phrenic, right? Then we have middle suprarenal. This one is middle suprarenal, right? Then third one is renal arteries. This one is renal artery. Then fourth one is this testicular or ovarian arteries, right? So lateral branches are number 1 inferior phrenic, then we have middle suprarenal, then we have renal arteries, then we have testicular or ovarian arteries, right? Then dorsal branches. Dorsal means lie posteriorly. First 4 lumbar arteries and median sacral artery. This one is the median sacral artery which arises from the posterior part side of the abdominal aorta. And terminal I already discussed, common iliac arteries, right? So this is all about the branches of the abdominal aorta. Now I will discuss the superior and inferior mesenteric artery individually, right? Let's start with the superior mesenteric artery. So I have drawn pictures for superior and inferior mesenteric artery. So I have drawn superior mesenteric artery actually supply, it is the artery of the midgut, right? So all the structures which are derived from midgut, they are supplied by this superior mesenteric artery, right? As we have discussed, superior mesenteric artery is a branch from anterior part of the anterior or ventral branches from the abdominal aorta. We discussed 3 ventral branches. First one was celiac trunk, second was superior mesenteric artery, and third was inferior mesenteric artery, ventral branches, right? Now, so what are the parts of the midgut? It means it supplies lower part of the duodenum, as the upper part of the duodenum is supplied from the, duodenum actually, the whole is supplied by artery from artery of foregut and a small part from midgut artery, right? So that will be discussed with the duodenal part, right? So superior mesenteric artery, as it is a part of midgut, so it supplies the organs derived from midgut, which are lower part of the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, appendix, cecum, ascending colon, and right 2/3 of the transverse colon, and lower half of the head of pancreas, right? So up to the right 2/3 of the colon, transverse colon, it means lower half of the duodenum, jejunum, ileum, then we have appendix, cecum, right, ascending colon, and right 2/3 of the transverse colon, right? Left 1/3 of the transverse colon, then we have descending colon, then we have a sigmoid colon and rectal arteries. So they are supplied by inferior mesenteric artery, which is the branch, which is artery of hindgut, right? From here only, from left 1/3 of this transverse colon till this end, right? This is supplied by inferior mesenteric artery, and this part is supplied by superior mesenteric artery, right? Now, what origin of the superior mesenteric artery? As we have discussed, it arises from the front of abdominal aorta, behind the body of pancreas, at the level of L1 vertebra, right? 1 centimeter below the celiac trunk. The first one branch was celiac trunk, second was superior mesenteric artery, as I have shown in this diagram. First one was the this is celiac trunk, superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric artery. So it arises behind the body of pancreas at the level of L1 vertebra. This is superior mesenteric artery, 1 centimeter below the celiac trunk, right? It runs downwards and to the right, forming a convexity towards the left, right? I have drawn here convexity towards the left, right? Left side, it has convexity, right? Now, for at its origin, it first lies behind the body of vertebra of L1, I have discussed, right? And then in front, it lies behind the body of pancreas, and then it crosses the root of mesentery and runs between its two layers of the mesentery, right? And terminates in the right iliac fossa by anastomosis with this ileocolic. Anastomosis with the ileocolic artery, right? So it means superior mesenteric artery itself, it runs a course, gives branches, and then ultimately it anastomoses with the artery of its own branches of its own artery. Ileocolic artery is a branch, itself is a branch of superior mesenteric artery. So superior mesenteric artery ends by anastomosing with the ileocolic artery, right? Now relations. Anteriorly, it is related to, as we have discussed in the course, related to the body of pancreas, right? Posteriorly to the aorta, left renal vein, right? And within the root of mesentery, it crosses the inferior vena cava and the right psoas major, right? Now branches. Superior mesenteric artery gives off 5 sets of branches, both from the right and left side. So this is the right side, this is left side, right? So right side, it gives off 4 branches. First one is this, I have drawn inferior pancreaticoduodenal, right? Inferior pancreaticoduodenal. Then we have middle colic artery second. Third is the right colic artery. Fourth one is the ileocolic artery. These are the branches from the right side, right? And then we have branches from the left side. These are the jejunal and iliac branches, which forms 12 to 15 pairs, right? I repeat, superior mesenteric artery gives 5 branches. 4 arises from the right side and 1 from the left side. These 4 are inferior pancreaticoduodenal, this is middle colic, this is right colic, I have written right colic, and this one is ileocolic, right? And from the left side, the branches are 12 to 15 pairs of the jejunal and iliac branches. Let's start with the inferior first branch, inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery. It arises from the superior mesenteric artery, right? At the upper border of the third part of the duodenum. The artery soon divides into anterior and posterior branches, right, which run in the pancreaticoduodenal groove, right, and supplies the head of the pancreas and duodenum, as its name is pancreaticoduodenal. So it supplies head of the pancreas and duodenum also, and ends by anastomosing with the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery, right? Superior pancreaticoduodenal is a branch from the celiac trunk, which we will discuss later in the next video, right? Celiac trunk. Today I am only discussing only superior mesenteric artery and inferior mesenteric artery. The remaining branches, celiac trunk and lateral branches, that will be discussed in next video and next class, right? Now, so inferior mesenteric artery, it rises from the superior pancreatic inferior pancreatic artery rises from the superior mesenteric artery at the level of the upper border of the third part of the duodenum, and the artery divides into anterior and posterior branches which run in the pancreatoduodenal grooves and supplies the head of the pancreas and the duodenum, right? And it ends by anastomosing with the superior pancreatic duodenal artery. This is finished. Now middle colic artery. Middle colic artery arises from the right side. These all arises from the right side. So first line of discussion will be these middle colic arising from the right side of the superior mesenteric artery, just below the pancreatic duodenal artery, right? And it lies below the pancreas. It runs downwards, forwards in the transverse meso. So it divides into right and left branch, right? Right branch anastomosis with the right colic artery, right? Yes, the right branch which anastomosis with the right colic artery, and left branch which anastomosis with the obviously left colic artery. This is the right colic artery. Towards this side is the left branch. So this is the right branch. Sorry, this is the right branch. So this is the left branch. Right branch anastomosis with the right colic artery, and right colic artery, and left branch with the left colic. Left colic is the branch of, इधर से हम करेंगे inferior mesenteric artery की, right? So second branch is middle colic artery, which arises from the right side of the superior mesenteric artery and lie below the pancreas. It runs downwards and forwards in the transverse mesocolon. It divides into right and left branch, right? Right branch anastomosis with the right colic artery, left branch anastomosis with the left colic artery, right? And these colic arteries, these branches, further branches arising from these, they form the arcades and supply the transverse colon. See, they are forming the arcades, right? Now the third one is the right colic artery. So right colic artery arises near the middle of superior mesenteric, as I have shown here, arising from the middle of the superior mesenteric artery in the concavity of the superior mesenteric artery. It passes to the right behind the peritoneum, and at the upper part of the ascending colon, it divides into ascending and descending branches, right? It divides into ascending and descending. So ascending branch will anastomose with this right branch of the middle colic artery, and descending branch will anastomose with the iliocolic artery, right? So it divides into descending branch which anastomose with the iliocolic artery, ascending branch anastomose with the middle colic artery. So the branches form the arch here also, okay, and are distributed in upper 2/3 of the ascending colon and right colic flexure, ascending colon and right colic flexure, right? Now iliocolic artery, last branch, fourth branch of, right? Iliocolic artery arising from the right side, same. It runs downwards and to the right and divides into superior and inferior branches. So superior will anastomose with right colic artery, and inferior itself with anastomose with the superior mesenteric artery itself. As I have already discussed, it gives iliocolic artery, its superior branch anastomoses with the right colic artery, and the inferior branch anastomoses with the superior mesenteric artery itself, right? So here it forms the arterial arcade, iliocolic. Now these are the right side branches, left jejunal and iliac branches. They are 12 to 15 in number and arise from the left side of the superior mesenteric artery. They run between two layers of the mesentery towards the gut. They anastomose with each other and they form the arterial arcades, which gives off straight branches or vasa recta to the gut, which I already discussed in small intestine class. These branches supply the jejunum and most of the ileum, and the terminal branch part of the ileum is also supplied by iliocolic artery, right? On passing from jejunum to ileum, the arterial arcades, they increases from 1 to as many as 5, and the vasa recta, they are longer and less numerous in jejunum than in ileum, as I already discussed in small intestine chapter, right? Now this is all about superior mesenteric artery. Now let's discuss the superior mesenteric vein. Superior mesenteric vein is the vein which drains the blood from the small intestine appendix. It means from the right cecum, ascending colon, and transverse colon from the right side of the colon, right? As the vein follows the course of the arteries, right? It begins in the right iliac fossa by union of the tributaries from the ileocecal region, right? Ileocecal region. And they follows the superior mesenteric artery. The vein lies on the right side of the artery, right? And it terminates behind the neck of pancreas by joining the splenic vein to form the portal vein. So superior mesenteric vein behind the neck of the pancreas, it joins the splenic vein to form the portal vein. This is very important. Now what are the tributaries? The tributaries of the veins corresponding to the branches of the superior mesenteric artery, right gastroepiploic and inferior pancreaticoduodenal veins. Right. Now let's discuss the inferior mesenteric artery. I have drawn inferior mesenteric artery here. Right. Inferior mesenteric artery. Now, so inferior mesenteric artery is the artery of hindgut. Superior mesenteric was artery of the midgut. Celiac trunk, the first branch of that was the artery of the foregut. So foregut, midgut, hindgut. Foregut, celiac trunk, midgut, superior mesenteric artery, and hindgut, inferior mesenteric artery. Right. So inferior mesenteric artery is the artery of the hindgut. It supplies the parts of the gut that are derived from the hindgut. So those are the left 1/3 of the transverse colon, which we have left here. Up to 2/3 we supplied by superior mesenteric. So right 1/3 of the transverse colon, then we have descending colon, then we have sigmoid colon, then we have rectum and upper part of the anal canal. So these are supplied by the branches from inferior mesenteric artery. So it arises in front of the abdominal aorta, behind the third part of the duodenum, right, at the level of third lumbar vertebra, right, 3 to 4 centimeter above the bifurcation of the aorta. Now it runs downwards and towards the left. This lies towards the right, this turns towards the left, as it supplies the left side of the colon, inferior mesenteric artery, right. So left behind the peritoneum, crosses the common iliac artery medial to the left ureter and continues in the sigmoid mesocolon as superior rectal artery, right. This is superior rectal artery finally. So superior rectal artery is nothing but continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery, right. Now branches. Inferior mesenteric artery gives off left colic branch, sigmoidal branches, and we have superior rectal artery, which is a continuation of inferior mesenteric. 3 branches. First one is left colic artery. It is a branch from the inferior mesenteric artery, right. It runs upwards and to the left behind the peritoneum of the posterior wall of the left infracolic compartment, and after running upwards, it divides into ascending and descending branch, right. Ascending branch will anastomose with the, towards this side, which artery lies? Yes, anastomose with the middle colic artery, right. And the descending branch anastomose with the, these are the sigmoidal artery, highest sigmoidal artery, right. So ascending branch will anastomose with the middle colic artery from this side. Middle colic artery is there, and the ascending branch anastomose with the middle colic, descending with the highest sigmoidal arteries, right. So they form a marginal artery from where branches are distributed to the left half of the left 1/3 of the transverse colon and the descending colon. This also forms the arcade, right. Then we have sigmoidal arteries. These are 2 to 4 in the number and passes downwards and to the left and anastomose with one another to form the lower part of the marginal artery. So this also forms the lower part of the marginal artery. The uppermost branch anastomoses with the descending branch, as we have discussed. Uppermost branch anastomoses with the descending branch of the left colic artery, where lowest sigmoidal artery, the branches with the branch with the superior rectal artery. So they supply the descending colon and the sigmoid colon, right. Now last, superior rectal artery. As I have discussed, it is a continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery beyond the root of the sigmoid colon over left iliac vessels. It descends in this way to reach the rectum. So opposite the third sacral vertebra, it divides into right and left branches. So the right and left branches descends on each side of the rectum, pierces the muscular coat of the rectum, which anastomoses with one at the level of anus sphincter to form loops, right. These branches communicate with the middle and inferior rectal artery in submucous also. So this is all about inferior mesenteric artery. Now inferior mesenteric vein. So inferior mesenteric vein drains blood from the rectum, anal canal, sigmoid colon and descending colon. It begins as superior rectal vein, right, from the upper part of the internal rectal venous plexus. It communicates with this plexus communicates with the middle and inferior rectal veins. The superior rectal vein crosses the left common iliac vessel medial to the left ureter and continues upwards at inferior mesenteric vein. This vein lies lateral to the inferior mesenteric artery, and the vein ascends behind the peritoneum, passes lateral to the duodenojejunal flexure and behind the body of pancreas, right, and it opens into the splenic vein. The tributary same corresponds to the inferior mesenteric artery. One more thing is important here. I have written the name marginal artery of Drummond. What is this marginal artery abdomen? As marginal of it is formed by an osmosis between the main arteries supplying the colon, namely ileocolic, starting from here, ileocolic, middle colic, ileocolic, middle colic, left colic, and right colic and left colic. These all form a marginal artery from here till here and from here till here, superior and inferior abdomen. So this artery whole form an arterial arcade. If we complete this arc, it form a complete arterial marginal artery of Drummond, which is called marginal artery of Drummond, right? One thing is more important regarding this. I have written here critical point of Sudeck. What is this critical point of Sudeck? Sometimes what happened, this is the descending branch of this artery, descending branch of the left colic artery does not anastomose with the superior rectal artery. Sometimes it happens, and that point is called critical point of Sudeck, right? So then what happened? Then superior and inferior mesenteric artery, they anastomosis behind the peritoneum and forms an arc which is called arc of, I have written arc of Rayolin, right? So this is all about today's lecture of superior and inferior mesenteric artery. Thank you.